Welcome back. Welcome to another episode of Nain Shorts, where we talk about training, or at least the subtle nuances I think that we all go through but seldom talk about out loud, especially the growth of the individual students. As you can see, we have my daughter with us once again. Nisa, say hi to everybody.
Hello, everybody.
She's also one of our students and has been growing quite well actually in the martial arts. So you're starting to develop your own ideas in reference to it. And folks, today I just want to share with you, it's not a new concept. It's not something that hasn't been talked about, but it is a concept that Nisa has been thinking about on her own in reference to the training and what she's noticed in her own development and her own ideas, because it all boils down to the student themselves. It's not that they're going to come up with anything new or that hasn't been seen before, hasn't been talked about before, but it's the way that they come about it and how it becomes their own ideas that then is going to become useful for them later on in whatever it is they choose to do with their martial arts. Now, first of all, why are you training martial arts?
Well, at first it was just an agreement between you and me.
Yeah, it's a good agreement.
Allowing me to go out with my friends as my social life began to bloom into what it is currently, without needing my parents there because I had a little martial arts under my belt. Pun intended.
That's stupid.
I know. But now it's less about the agreement, which I totally forgot about until just now, and more about me evolving into a different person than I was about 3 years ago.
Okay.
I have taken a lot of time to myself. I've adapted socially and physically. I've gained a lot more knowledge. I have a lot more confidence. I'm able to stand up in front of people and voice my opinion, which is something that I wouldn't dare to do
prior to that. And how old are you?
15.
15 years old, which I folks, at that age, I was nowhere near this confident. I was just an asshole. Yeah, that's how I... Really?
Sorry.
Okay, we're going to go there? All right, you ass. Anyways, so recently we had a class and you coined an idea. Well, what did you call it?
Well, actually, I'm giving the credit to Eric here. I'm sure you guys remember him. He's the one who came up with the name Destructive Empathy, TM.
Oh, okay.
And I really liked that name because it uses two words that you would probably never use in the same sentence, because the idea of both of them is very separate from one another. You think of empathy, you think, the sweet parts of empathy, your kindness, your sadness, your ability to connect with other people on an emotional level. And destructive, well, fire, burning down, just pure anger, which are, two things that you wouldn't normally mix.
Well, in the context of martial arts, it's winning the fight,
right?
Who can be more destructive. But I really like the way that you approach this idea, because again, it's something that is out there. But how would you then describe this destructive empathy? How did you really cultivate that idea in your own mind? Like, what is it really to you?
Well, hearing that name at first, I thought the same thing that you all are probably thinking, like, destructive empathy. That just sounds like a made-up topic. But after thinking about it a little bit more, I realized that destructive empathy is just a more cartoony name for something that everybody uses in their day-to-day life. You're always applying emotion to everything that you're doing. If you love cleaning your house because you feel like having a clean space gives you a sense of calm, that's all emotion. If you don't like cleaning your house and you see it as an everyday hassle and a chore and something you just really hate doing, that's also an emotion. It's just negative.
Huh.
And no one likes to mention the negative emotions, especially in their day-to-day, because, thinking positive makes people feel better about themselves. And thinking negatively always makes people feel icky and allows us to see parts of ourselves that we don't really feel like dealing with in the moment.
Okay, I mean, that's a lot to take in for something like a fight, though. I mean, you don't have a lot of time for that. So how do you use that then for the context of getting into a fight or getting out of a fight?
Well, in a simple street fight, there are way more emotions than you would just assume. You think it's just one person trying to fight another person for as big or as small of a reason as the two may think. But in the end, it's really how riled up that guy was getting that guy. Who threw the first punch because of how mad he was? How hard is he trying to hit the other guy and able to win the fight? Who's trying to have the upper hand first? And what people don't think about, what people don't mention about these fights is that you are constantly in a state of pure fear and anguish.
Okay.
And you push all of that down in a way to keep yourself composed and able to win the fight. Because that's what people assume. You need to stay composed for the entire fight, from beginning to end, so you don't lose.
We do preach that in the martial arts, to stay calm under, But, and you're right, even the people that look calm on the surface, I know for me anyways, in moments like that, my heart is pounding. It's going, I feel my adrenaline, reminding myself to...
It's difficult. It's hard to keep that for the whole time.
It's not, yeah, you're right. It's not an easy thing to do. So how do you then, or how did you figure out how important that is to keep that calm, even though your heart is fluttering like crazy
your
in a
mind
tense
is wandering,
situation?
you're running around your own head. Because I've noticed that all the moments, even in simple sparring where in my heart I knew I wasn't actually going to get hurt, I was still panicking. I was in such a state of panic. Sometimes I would just pause because my body didn't know what else to do. And that was near the beginning, middle area of my training when it first began. But now, I still get those moments of pause, but they're a lot shorter than they used to be, which, to my own credit, shows a lot of improvement in myself. But I took a lot of time outside of class to really think about that calm. What brought me to the state of that calm? Everyday things like, sitting alone with myself, listening to music, painting, drawing. Those are all things that bring me calm.
Wait, so you draw all that in to your fight?
Essentially, yes. I remember that state of calm that I was in, sitting peacefully with my headphones on and the pencil scribbling on my paper. That's such a state of calm for me that I'm able to take that away from my personal life and adapt it into my fight. Because in the end, I'm not going to go out unscathed, but I always remember that the point isn't to come out unscathed, it's to come out alive.
That's a good point. Okay, so that's the empathy for yourself. Now, how do you turn that into destructive empathy against your opponent?
Well, it's easy to go on your phone and look up fight videos, and you'll see that two of the people are often, talking to each other. They've got their chest out and they're talking. They're like, what's up? They're trying to rile each other up. They're trying to wait for that guy to throw the first punch, and then the fight really begins after that.
That's true.
But until they throw that first punch, they're just barking at each other, essentially.
Yeah, like that video of the two dogs that when the gate is closed, they keep barking, and barking, and then they open the gate and then they just kind of shut up.
They just shut up. They just don't do anything. Because when most people are put in front of someone for a legitimate fight, they can talk as much as they want, but most people won't take action.
Oh, okay.
At least not immediately.
Right.
Until they get that person to a certain state where they can see how angry they've made them, they won't take the first shot because they want to have the upper hand immediately, which is also an emotion. They realize how angry they have to make that person and able to have the upper hand in the fight.
Okay. So let's say that the fight's inevitable. There's no talking your way out of it. Because we are martial artists, we don't engage in the back and forth. Although I will say that even trained people, professionals, they get really caught up in that as well. Because, you could have years of training, but all of a sudden you get mad because somebody said something about your mom, and all of a sudden that training goes out the window. Now, it could be useful, and that's the destruction that happens, that explosiveness, and you win that fight, but all it takes is one good shot for you to get, caught up because you're not thinking straight, because you're not calm, and all of a sudden that training doesn't matter at all because you're halfway knocked out and that person isn't stopping. So there's a lot to say about that. So then are you saying that we could use that as a weapon also against our opponent? Get them to the point where either we can calm them down or get them so riled up that they just aren't thinking of anything else but hitting you?
essentially.
Okay.
Because that idea goes as far back as to when people used to go out and hunt for food.
Wow, you really thought about this.
I have.
Holy crap.
They needed people, they needed their opponents, you know, human or not, to get to such a bothered state that they would just give in to their impulses and attack. Because the other person already has that planned out. Oh, once they attack, I know exactly what I'm going to do.
Huh. That's interesting.
And that's empathy. Understanding the other person's feelings and able to control the situation. And that can be both positive and negative, which is the thing that people don't talk about.
You know, this actually made me think of something in like more traditional martial arts. They're usually off a specific attack, but I never really thought about the context behind that, because if somebody is ready to attack you, sure, they're not going to attack you the exact same way, but they're definitely going to go straight for your face. I mean, most attacks are going to be that way, unless somebody's like really savvy and trying to like distract you or whatever the case may be, but that's tactics and all that. But the initial attack from most traditional martial arts is somebody just swinging either a straight punch or a wild haymaker, and that's where your technique starts. But I never thought about everything that led up to that idea, and it makes sense. If you think about the context of somebody throwing just one punch at you towards your face and you do your technique. Granted, in a real fight, they're not gonna stick around for you to finish your technique. But if we think of it in the emotional side of it, yeah, they're most likely going to swing first because that's their intent, or that's where their mindset is. So if you can deal with that and be patient enough to wait for it, well, then you have other options. Then you can explore different contexts. Actually, would you mind demonstrating a little bit of that?
No.
Okay, so we're discussing the idea that somebody is riled up. Now, maybe I'm just posting some sort of initial, I'm just talking shit to you, but I'm not really that riled up. You remaining calm and not being affected by what I'm saying. You're this, you're that. Screw your purple hair. Yeah, see what I mean? Like, you end up laughing about it.
Right.
Even though I'm trying to get an emotional response, will probably piss me off even more.
And
So-
as you get more riled up, that instinct grows. It's like something building up inside of you that's waiting to be let out.
And then
which
I just go.
is let out in that first attack.
Right. And what would you then respond with? Something like that. Now you got me to the point where like, oh, fuck you, I'm gonna. And there it is. And it could be this simple, where because of the way that you maintain yourself, not wanting to engage, but being ever ready to do so, is the understanding that this person may or may not want to take it that far. They're going through some other issues,
Right.
which has happened to me before. Somebody is just got bitched out by their woman, and then all of a sudden trying to start a fight with me because, well, they feel like they need to prove themselves all
That's
of a
happened
sudden.
to you?
Yeah, that actually happened to me. Somebody tried to fight me because his girlfriend or baby's mama, I don't know, whatever, said some of the most heinous things that you can say to a man, and he didn't say anything back. And the only reason I know is because you were still a little girl, your sister was a baby, so we were parked behind them, and I could hear everything that he was saying.
That's great.
Yeah, and then we went out, we're at the park, and all of a sudden somebody's yelling at me from like across the park, and say, "What are you looking at?" And I'm like, "What the fuck is going on?" And he finally got close enough where I saw him,
Right.
and he's like posting up and trying to like start a fight, and it's this like Samoan dude that was like this big.
Isn't that funny, everyone? How people pose themselves up, their shoulders up like this.
Yeah.
The big chest stance.
Well, that's another thing. Like you see a lot of the physical movements. You know, somebody's going like this, versus you suck.
Yeah. How tense everybody gets, enabling such an intense fight. Like, no one wants to fight. I mean,
Right.
there are some people who do. They just
they
enjoy
enjoy it.
getting into street fights just for the fun of it. But most people don't want to get into a fight.
The
but
regular
they can't,
people.
They can't help.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm sorry. It takes a weird mind to be a martial artist, but I think it also takes that same weird mind to be the kind of person that enjoys fighting.
Right.
I'm just saying.
They can't help it. That fear riles inside them. It turns quickly into anger because, if you show weakness, I've already lost the fight.
Right.
It doesn't even take him hitting me or me hitting him.
So it's
if
an
I
ego
show
thing.
fear,
Yeah.
Same thing, another emotion.
Okay.
The person's ego building up in their head, making them wonder, am I scaring him enough? Am I winning this fight right now, even though no one's hit each other yet?
So would you use that also as a tactic? Like, say you make yourself look smaller, or, oh no, I don't want to fight, oh no.
Not necessarily making yourself look smaller, but not being afraid to step back and be like, I don't want to fight you. Because enabling in the fight is going to only make him do that.
Okay, sorry, I just wanted to show that little bit. But, yeah, no, that's a great interpretation of it. And again, folks, it's something that people have talked about, people have really gone into depth with, but this is Nisa's development. This is her understanding of what's going on in a fight and how she interprets it, because we could tell her, oh yeah, this happens, this happens, this happens, and one of two things will happen. She's either going to be like, okay, that's gospel truth because you're the instructor and it's going to happen, but then they're in a real fight and it doesn't happen. Where's the credibility then? Or she questions it and it's like, is that true? And then does what she's doing right now and really going through it and doing her best to understand it at her level. And as much as she wants to put into it, that's what it's going to become. And for me, the way I would interpret it, that's just the psychology of a fight and the starting of manipulating your opponent, getting them to do exactly what you want them to do, what you know that they're already in process of doing, and being prepared for it, being ahead of the game, like you said, so you know, oh, hey, this person is leaving their face wide open because that hand is cocked back. Guess what? I'm just going to pop him in the eye right real quick, kick his knee out, or knee him somewhere that's going to hurt a lot, and then I'm out. Because again, like you said, it's not about winning the fight. It's not about beating up that other person or getting out of the situation unscathed. It's about just leaving the situation altogether and getting home safe. Mm-hmm. And if you can do that before any punches are thrown, then you're doing great, because you use that emotional content or that psychology to get that person to either lose their want to fight because it's no longer worth it, or to de-escalate the situation where they don't feel that anger anymore, that emotional or what was it, destructive empathy. And they're ready to just get out of the situation themselves, and then nobody gets hurt. But again, if it gets to that point, well, it still applies. That emotional state still is useful to you if you're aware of it, and not to mention, very useful to keep yourself from getting into that state. Because even if you're trained, if you're just really mad and tunnel vision, well, you can get blindsided very easily. So thank you for sharing that, actually. That was really cool. That was a fun conversation to have.
This is fun.
Yeah, so anything else you want to add before we head out?
Yes, one last thing. This isn't to say that everything that I've said or anything that he said is the gospel truth. Like he just did, you will take everything that we have said in this episode to your own kind of idea. You will take it and you will adapt it into something new, or you will continue to take on everything that we have said to the last word, and you will use it in your everyday life, just like you've been doing without even realizing it.
Actually, I think she's giving us way too much credit. I don't think anyone actually listens to what we say, but it's a fun conversation to have, because most of these guys have a hell of a lot more training than I do. So they've been through this, but I think a lot of them do have fun revisiting those concepts. Mm-hmm. In a different light. So thank you for sharing that different opinion. Again, it's there, but this is yours. This is what you came up with, your interpretation of it. And dude, that's awesome. Very proud of you, kid.
Thank you.
So I appreciate you sharing that. Folks, thank you for joining us on another episode of Nain Shorts. Hope you guys had fun seeing this young person's growth, because if you haven't seen her before, she's been in other episodes, and over the years she's gotten taller. And her hair has gotten shorter.
And more purple.
And more purple, sadly. Anywho, till the next time, folks, as usual, 3, 2, 1, cut!